Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Dan.
And I'm Laura.
I'd like to start by thanking the sponsor of our live Q&As, Enduro, high quality, high energy food for working dogs with real kangaroo meat.
Tonight we're fortunate enough to be speaking with Joe Spicer from Go Getter, who will be picking what he thinks is the best question, and they will win a bag of Enduro Plus. Welcome, Joe. How are you going?
Yeah, if I remember.
How's it going, mate? Tell us a bit about yourself, mate, your family, where you're from, what you do.
Yeah, going well. Grew up in Melbourne. Teacher, doctor, missionary, Baptist missionary parents. So yeah, got to see a bit of the world with them, and hopefully they brought me up well. I was always the black sheep, getting in trouble and out with the animals. Probably had every animal known to man in my childhood. Just love being with animals.
Awesome, mate. And now, what are you doing these days?
Yeah, so I divide my time probably equally between a little bit of stock work, and I only just do that to give the dogs some work. To be honest with you, I'm getting a bit old for it all now. And then training and breeding dogs here on our small little property, and then doing clinics as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you're how far out of Melbourne are you?
Yeah, so 300 k's from Melbourne, so we're right out in the sticks. It was actually interesting when I first left Melbourne. I went and worked for food and board for Tim Austin, and he's out Coleraine, Casterton Way, and I went out there and I thought, this is the arse end of the universe. How do people live out here? And now I go to Melbourne and I go, this is the arse end of the universe. How do people live here? So things have changed a lot.
It's funny how that happens, isn't it?
Definitely.
So how did your passion for working dogs and livestock come about?
Okay, so it's a bit of a drawn out story. I'll try to abbreviate it. When I was 11, we went to a holiday farm. They were going to put down a litter of pups, Kelpie Collie Cross. We all cried and carried on and begged with mum and dad, and they eventually caved and let us take them and find them homes. We ended up keeping one called Mate, and he was a great dog for me, and slowly got more and more interested in the working side of it, and eventually that's what brought me to the country.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. And you mentioned before that you're only working your dogs a little bit to give them some work. So how else are you using what else are you doing these days, day to day, with your dogs?
Yeah, so day to day just changes. You know, it might be a field day, it might be going to a trial, it might be going to a clinic, it might be going to the vet, it might be training. So I've got a couple of girls that help me with the day to day feeding and running and exercising and training. So we usually do that between 8 and 1 in the morning, and then I'm dealing with customers and doing stuff on the farm in the afternoon is my average day, but every day is a new day, a different day.
Hopefully those vet bills are kept to a minimum, mate. So you mentioned your customers there, mate. You'd have a lot of repeat customers, yeah?
Yeah, look, so probably 70-80% of our clientele are repeat, and I always look after them. I always make sure that I don't go come in spinner and rightio, I've got you, I'll double the price. I actually do the opposite. I usually give them a 10% discount on new clients. So yeah, we look after our clients, and we do a very different system to a lot of other studs, where we take bookings. We keep a pup aside for that person. We usually start it about 3 months, 4 months, and then we discuss it and send videos, etc., with the client. And if we don't think it's going to suit, or they don't think it's going to suit, then we just transfer their order. Obviously, we make sure we get paid for that extra work, but it means you go from playing pup lotto to getting a sure bet. So it's a system that works really well with our clients.
So you'd have to really get to know your customers and the people there and what they're all about and the work and the type of dog that would suit them, obviously, as well.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I always found it my grandfather, because he thought he could judge someone by their handshake or the first couple of words that came out of their mouth, and I thought it was pretty judgmental. But now I actually pride myself on summing up my client within a minute of talking to them. Are you a tie kicker? Are you willing to spend it? Can you handle a dog? Are you a hard ass? Are you soft as butter? How much work have you got? They're all things that I assess, and if they haven't come forth or I haven't worked out that information, then definitely that's part of the process. The first thing I do is find out what they need.
How accurate are you most of the time? Do you do pretty well on lining up dogs and people?
Well, today a lovely lady rang today, and I said, right, you're from the city, aren't you? You just want a companion dog, and we don't sell working dogs to companion homes. Definitely some of our rejects are rehomed, but we don't sell pups. And she said, no, well, actually, you got it wrong this time. I came to Wolves, and now we want to buy a pup. So yeah, don't get it right all the time.
So tell us a little bit about the team you've got there at the moment, dog-wise.
Rightio. Okay, so I like to have a big team, probably too big. It makes it hard to polish them coming into trials and getting them right. And I'm a real stickler for that. I'm very different from a lot of other people trialing. It gives me confidence if I've done the homework and got my dogs humming coming into a trial. So I put a lot of work into that, and that takes a lot of time once I start doing it. So yeah, if you see someone out in the moonlight at night who should be in bed or watching TV or talking to their partner, that's probably me. And yeah, so I've got a team, and I like to have very different dogs in my team. I'm again very different from other breeders who I feel pigeonhole themselves too much with one type of dog. I like any dog, and we'll come to the type of dog I like. But I like lots of different types of dogs. So especially for trialing, you'll go to a trial and the sheep will be very different, and they'll suit one dog and not another dog in your team. So you've got to make sure that one, you've got plenty of bullets in the chamber. You've got different calibers, if you like. And that you fire them, you make sure that you fire the right one in the right spot.
You've mentioned trialling a few times there, mate. Why do you trial, and what got you into trialling?
Okay, so when I first got into dogs, the first thing I saw was a lot of people that were talking crap basically, and couldn't walk the walk. And so that's the first thing that I wanted to do, is just go out, compare apples with apples, and show that I could work a dog, and did have some good dogs, and so then pulled me into a great community. There's some people that are out for themselves and not very nice people, but mainly there's people from all walks of life that are great people that would help you if you asked, and great company. We've all got the dogs in common, and we can all learn from each other. So I've probably, we'll talk about later about where I've gained my knowledge base from, and a lot of it has been from competing, from trialing. So you've got to get better every time, every trial I go to. Right, I've got to get better. I've got to work on this. I've got to work on myself. So I think it makes us better people in many ways, and it teaches us how to be a great loser, and very humble, because dogs are great equalisers, and you put a lot of work into a dog. You think you've got him right. You think you've got the best dog on the planet. Then you go out and he just runs amok. So you go, right, you've got to go back, work harder.
Are you hearing us all right there, mate? Is it coming through a bit muffled there?
Sorry, mate. We're starting to crackle up again. I'll turn the computer off, I think, and see if that's affecting it. If not, we'll have to play a video and log out and log back in again.
Yeah, for our listeners out there, we're just gonna reboot Joe here. We'll just put up a quick video for you to have a squiz at while that's happening.
Yeah, sorry, buddy, I didn't get a word. You're cracking right up there, so I'm not sure how we get around that. Try again.
Okay. We'll log back in again, Joe, and we'll play that quick video.
see you in a few minutes. So I've got a big rough course filler here. You'll never guess who it's by. You can see he's way too close to his sheep. He's had about 2 or 3 months off. I brought him out last week and gave him a couple of runs, but he's fresh out of the kennel today. So what I'm going to do once things are settled down a little bit is get him what I call pinballing. That is learning the consequence of coming in too hard and bumping your stop. So he's done 2 laps anti-clockwise, so I'm just going to block him. So he goes clockwise. Now you can see already he's calmed down a little bit, that's good. So I'll just stay in the middle. So clockwise, 2 laps, that's good. Back to anti. Now you see where my block started and where it's almost finishing where it started. It doesn't have to be a real hard block. If he comes in really hard, I'm going to run through the middle of the sheep. But otherwise, I'm just going to let him run his little heart out until he learns that that's a lot of hard work and he needs to learn to pace himself and get out off the sheep. So, there, 2 laps, no more than 2 laps in either direction. That's better. That's good. So, there he actually paused for a second. What I'm trying to do also is get what I call a natural stop. And rather than me stopping him, which I'll try to do now, let's see if I can. Him deciding to stop of his own initiative. So there we go, now we'll go back the other way. Now you can see how he's circling the sheep around in the same direction that he's going. That means it's too close. So I'm trying to block him. So he's not taking the block, so I just need to step out a little bit more. There. Because of the stop earlier, that's good. And because he didn't like being blocked, starting to slow down and stop. So I'm just letting him hit them too hard, then have to go and get them. Then hit them too hard again, having to go and get them. So he'll slowly learn. At first it's a fun game. But as he goes, he'll start thinking a little bit more, he'll start getting out a bit wider, he'll slow down, he'll start looking for the point of control. He nearly stopped there, so I'll help him by taking him back the other way. There, that's better. That's what I'm looking for. Beautiful. Okay, so once I've got what I want, stop. Quit while you're ahead. So what I'm going to do is go to a fence, so I've only got 180 degrees to block. I'm just going to block him and block him and block him, and you'll always notice that the dogs go up a cog as soon as you decide to stop, because they think if they go harder, they might be able to go a bit longer. So that's good. Stopped him. I'll see if I can get him to come. Don't know if I can or not. We'll see. Keep blocking. There. So he hasn't actually acknowledged me yet, so I'm going to just keep applying a little bit of pressure. Oi, oi. Good boy. Bang. That's good. Perfect. Lovely. Thank you.
G'day guys and girls, how you going, ladies and gentlemen? We preempted that we might have a couple of technical issues tonight, hence Joe was good enough to provide a couple of videos there in case that happened. So anyways, we'll welcome Joe back. You with us now, mate?
Well, we can't hear you again. There we go.
Right, we got sound now.
Yeah, we've got you now, mate.
Beautiful.
So we got most, I think, of what we were talking about with trialling. Not trying to butter you up, but just to settle a score a bit earlier, I was talking to someone about how many Australians are won. What is that? What's your total there?
Yeah, so big fat 5, and I'm struggling to get the next one. So But then again, Coxie and Chris took about 15 years between drinks, so I've still got probably 10 years up my sleeve.
Not if a few of us younger fellas have got anything to do with it, but we'll have a crack. Mate, do you want to actually talk us through that video just then?
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of crackling there, but we'll see how we go. So that video goes back to an article that's going to be in the next Working Stock Dog Mag and about feel, and that's one of the exercises that I do to help the dog learn about consequence. And that is, if you want to come in and be a bit of a cock and bump your stock and hassle them, then you're just going to have to go and pick them up on the other side and hit them again. And then you want to hit them again, you can hit them again, and you can just keep doing that until you run out of gas, and then you might start thinking about the job. So it's almost self-punishing and teaching the dog that if he makes work for himself, he's going to have to work harder.
Very cool. We've got a training question here.
Question here from Amanda Dunbar. When training 2 or more young dogs, do you use the same commands for each or have different commands for each dog? How do you minimise the confusion for the dogs when working as a team? Is it as easy as saying their name before the command?
Short answer is yes. Basically, as I advance, one of the things I teach is that we talk in tones, not words. So rather than commanding the dog with sit, come behind, steady, here, I'll say their name, Bob, 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 in different tones, and they'll know what I'm saying and who I'm talking to by that tone. So now I can talk to Bob and Bill, Bill, Bob, 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 Bill, and have be talking to them in a simple language that they understand. I don't have to think too hard and have talking German or some other foreign language that I can't even, get out of my mouth and think about, well, what's that mean in that language, or what's that command mean? And I used to be round and over for left and right. Now I'm left and right. So for me to go round to one dog and right to the other one would just do my head in. So just keep it simple, stupid. Use their names. A great question.
How old was that dog in that video, mate? Oh wow, this is bad.
Sorry, go again.
How old was that dog in the video there, boy? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, rough. He'd be about 15 months. He's about to go up to Queensland. Go up Brahman cattle. He was buy one get one free almost. No, not really. He was pretty cheap. He's pretty rough. He's a raw big fella, and he'll be a good hitman on those Brahman and save a few other nicer dogs and look after them a bit.
So has the style of dog you have in your training now differed from what you started with?
Yeah. Look, basically what reading Tony Parsons' books, got to have a clear goal from the start. So I wrote down my goal, and that was a dog that I can take anywhere and do any job with. So it's pretty simple. That's really broad, and that's why you'll see me with very, very different types of dogs within that parameter, if you like. So one thing probably when I did start is I had some really nice cover and footwork in my dogs, and I've tried to keep that as much as I can, but I've probably had to sacrifice a little bit of that to try and get a little bit more strength. So yeah, probably a little bit more strength and a little bit more scope in my dogs. A little bit more vision is something that I look for, that they're seeing the bigger picture, because some of my early dogs weren't as much as I would like.
Sure. We're still a bit off. I apologise to anyone listening tonight. We're trying to do our best, but perception is a bit of an issue. What are you looking for in your own line? You mentioned a bit of fancy footwork and cover and hold there.
I'll try and move to a different spot. Is that any better?
Actually did sound a bit better there for a second.
Sorry, I'll go outside and see if that makes any difference.
Cool.
Dark out here.
What season is it in Melbourne this afternoon?
Is that helping or not?
Not really, no.
Not really. Right yet. I think it's just a connection on this phone, so I'm not sure what we can do about that. I can hear myself pretty clearly, but I'm
Right there, and it worked really well.
I'll try going close to the Wi-Fi and see if that helps.
Yep, fantastic.
So, what are you looking for in your own line, Joe?
Yeah, so in my own line, I'm looking for versatility, basically. And I'm also looking for biddability. Can you hear me better now or not?
It's a bit better than what it was before.
Bit better, yeah. You're scratchy. So I'm no better or not?
How are we going there, mate?
Yeah, you're scratchy, but I can hear you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
We'll just keep battling on, eh?
Right, yeah. Okay, we'll see how we go. So, sorry? Can you try? No, right, yeah. We might try another phone. I'll see how we go. So, basically, my team I've been looking for versatility, but one of the things I noticed when I first got into Kelpies was that they were very hard to control. So I looked for dogs that were more pliable, more biddable, and that would work with you a bit more. So that's come from my Capri Blue line, if you like. And yeah, there's a dash of collie in there, and I think it has made a huge difference.
Question here from...
We are a bit there, mate.
Rightio. Okay. I'll see if I can get another phone going and log in on another phone.
We'll play another video in the meantime.
Yep, cool. Okay.
Actually, we'll play the same one back. How's it going, mate? We got you back?
Yeah, how's that? Can you hear me?
Oh,
Heaps better.
I think you need to throw that phone away. This one's perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah, this is Sharon's.
We're actually just sitting here coming up with a couple of other ideas of how to do this, but I think we might be cooking with gas now.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. So
we were talking about traits you look for in a dog, and like your own line.
Yep, fantastic. Okay, so I'll start again because it was pretty blurry. So basically, I'm looking for a dog that can do any job on any stock for anybody, because that's my clientele and that's my job. And I believe that one of the things that make the Kelpie very special is its versatility. So I think whether we're breeding yard dogs ourselves, we should be looking for yard dogs that still have a little bit of scope and a little bit of cast, even if they're never going to use them with us, that we're trying to get that in our genetics. The other thing that I'm trying to get in my genetics that's probably a little bit unique to me is dogs that you can talk to, that you can command, that you can do your nana with, and that they'll come back harder. So so dogs that are resilient in their mind, but also biddable and pliable.
good temperament.
Yep.
Beautiful. So the question that we had was from Mark Wheeler.
Which of the sires you have at the moment do you think stamps your progeny the most, and which of your present brood bitches have the same effect, and are they the ones you choose to breed from?
Okay, so great questions, Mark. Mark's won a bag of dog food too. Well done. I better write down Mark for a bag of dog food. Well, Dan's got one. Mark's got one. We're going well. Rightio. So Betts is by far I put down Pack about a month ago, and he was probably my most consistent sire. You can straight away you look at a Pack pup and there's no guessing who it's by. So yeah, definitely pack was, but Betts now is, every pup from every litter. Again, you can see there by Betts, they're all good. They're all carry a lot of his traits. What's made him so good is that he has such a wide. Well, one is a powerhouse, and he's got his super instinctive, but he's got a very wide range of traits that he passes on. A lot of sires or dogs won't pass on particular traits, so you're going backwards sometimes with some dogs. As far as my bitches are concerned, it's a great question. What I do is I have bitches that I've sold that people bring back, and I have a lot of outside bitches going to my dogs. So I've got a real genetic base, and I've always got different faults and different attributes coming into the stud through the bitches, and I'm starting to hip score everything now. I'm starting to CA test everything and trying to make sure that I don't introduce problems that I haven't got. So with all these bitches out with other people, I don't actually need a lot of bitches, and I've got, bitches sitting here that are part of my work team that may not have had a litter for 2 or 3 years. So and it's ironic. Quite often, your best bitches aren't your best breeders, and Trix, I don't, is by far my best bitch. And my go-to bitch, I don't think I've had a litter from her for a couple of years. So yeah, a wide range of bitches there.
So you touched on hip scoring there. Is that something you're doing a lot more often now, and why is that?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I actually said the wrong thing. I'm only X-raying. I believe X-raying, you can tell from an X-ray. You don't need to get a vet to score it. You can tell whether it's right or not. I'm seeing a little bit of it coming into the breed, and I think it's something that we all need to look at. The dogs I've thought had great hips, I was horrified with when I saw the X-rays, and dogs that you're moving a little bit funny and a bit sus on the way they're moving, had crystal clear, perfect hips. So you can't tell by looking at them. One thing I have learned over the journey is if they can't jump, then be suspicious. But in their movement, the way they move, like one thing I've noticed too, and the Kelpie's probably gone backwards in some ways, and it's gone forwards in some ways. And one of the ways it's gone backwards, I'm noticing that they're very hoppy in the back end, and they're not fluent at the way they move their back legs. So it's something we all need to be looking at. If we're going to breed dogs, it's something we need to be cautious of. And I thought you could tell by looking at them, but again, I'll put my hand up and say I was wrong.
No, hats off, mate, because there's not a lot of Kelpie breeders out there that are X-raying their dogs, and I've never X-rayed one of mine. So I think that moving forward for the breed, if we can do anything to keep them as sound as possible, why not? So
yeah, definitely.
Cool. Sorry, mate. We got a few questions coming through now that people can hear us.
Awesome.
It was all right. No one swore at us before, but a few people let us know that we did have a few issues. So, actually, we're talking about your bitches there. Brad Andrews has asked, would you have Brew back or Futura Ned?
Ned. Brew's by far my favourite dog and my best mate, and love him to death, and he's brought a lot to the stud. But Ned was a freak. Ned was super intelligent. Big, beautiful car, stay right off his stock, wouldn't leave one behind. All the stuff that we're losing in the Kelpie, and probably and one reason why I struggled with Ned and breeding a better dog than Ned or even another Ned was intelligence is the hardest thing to breed, in my opinion, or what I found in my experience. So that nice, big, leggy, long, go all day, almost telepathic intelligence. You can't. Where do you get that? So yeah, great question again. Brad's got a bag of dog food. Right down, Brad. Beautiful. Awesome.
So talking about that style that you like there, how do you go about picking a pup for yourself?
Okay, great. It's Pup Lotto when they're little pups.
Did you put my name down?
Sorry.
Did you put my name down?
Yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, it's not a bad question.
No, that's cool. I can't take that.
Good too, buddy. So question was picking pups. So yeah, look, when pups, you got no idea, and even starter pups quite often change. So it's a really hard thing. It's been on a lot of discussion things, and it comes back to the one that you like. Is the one that you'll pull out of the pen and experiences everything. If you give them the opportunity, quite often they'll progress. If you don't, they won't. So it's as simple as that. But yeah, look, I one of the reasons why I breed is to get the best for myself. And you'll talk to most breeders that's why they breed dogs. And really, yeah, it's a hard one, but we start a lot of pups. We have a look at a lot of pups. It helps us know what we're breeding before they go out. And then we get to obviously see them with the clients as they mature and grow. And, we get to see them out on the job, and people send us videos, and it's fantastic. We get a lot of good feedback. But yeah, definitely there's things I look for in a pup, and part of it's temperament, and just start them and see if you like the way they work, and then build on that.
Beautiful, mate. Laura, do you want to grab that one there from Mark Mangold?
Do you think that eye color in a dog makes a difference in relation to their strength and their ability to move and have stock move off them?
On the whiteboard there?
Another bag of dog food. So yeah, well done, Mark. Yes, eyes are the window to the soul, and you notice I've got little squinty ones, so I'm not letting people into my soul and see what I am. But yeah, those light those light coloured eyes, yeah, they do draw conflict, and again, I'm generalising greatly, but a lot of the light coloured dogs a lot of the dogs with light coloured eyes that I have had or have seen haven't had great temperaments. So it's something I look for, is those nice dark eyes, definitely.
You find those light-eyed dogs probably show a little bit more intensity?
No, I think they draw stock and yes, intensity draws stock too, and I draw stock, but no, I wouldn't say that's something that I've noticed.
Yeah, no,
Bad
cool.
question. You lose your bag of dog food.
No, that's all right. I was just thinking about a couple of my own dogs there.
Beautiful.
So do you have any young pups coming through that are really impressing you?
Yeah, I love Steady Eddie. You may have seen him on a few videos that I've put up, and he's a bit of a freak, and I don't know whether he's not quite right or he's super special. We'll find out in time. But yeah, he's one of the few pups that I've had that actually has natural balance, and just tries to get outside his stock. A lot of dogs I'm seeing, mine included, are getting inside their stock, and that is that they're looking at the lead, they're not conscious of the tail, and they're not balancing to the handler, they're just heading where the stock go, they're heading. Whereas little steady Eddie, he just gets out around them, brings them to me, happy behind them, works them beautifully from behind. Again, a lot of dogs don't know how to work stock from behind. So these are things that I'm looking for. They're just little one-pointers, but ways that we can always be improving what we breed.
Mate, we know you're pretty passionate about your breeding there. You're right if we start going into some training here?
Yeah, no, it'd be fantastic.
No, fantastic, mate. They're flying through.
Question here from Nathan Cave. How long did it take, and what was the philosophy behind your clinic structure?
Yeah, so look, it was another great question, Nathan. Bag of dog food for you, buddy. So look, obviously it evolves, and I've been listening to all the great trainers you've had on so far, and all of them said they got a lot from Greg Prince. I also got a lot from Neil McDonald, who you had on last time, but that was 20 years ago, and I hope I've evolved since then. And basically I go into every clinic going, okay, how can I pull the best out of this person? How can I make them the best version of themselves? How can I give them information that they can take home and utilize and benefit from? And how can I inspire them to actually go out and train their dogs? So the structure of my clinics, I realised actually from Greg Prince that people want structure. They want to know step by step what you need to do. My steps are different from, even though I have 10 like Greg had. They're very different, and I have a very different way of going about things. But it's structured. There's a step-by-step process. It's laid out there for you. You can go back to your notes that come with every clinic and go through them. And I tell people to it's interesting. You've got people that are there to learn. You've got people that are there to sightsee and just it's just going through to the keeper. And then you've got people who already made their minds up and actually funding the school and making it cheaper for the other people that are going. They're just wasting their time. So I don't mind all three classes, but I try and encourage people, take notes, write it down, put it up on your toilet wall. It'll come back to you. It's information overload. I'm firing that much information at you that your brain cannot take it. And a lot of people tell me that they actually have a headache for about a week after a clinic, and that their brain's just trying to process all the information.
They just need larger doors in their toilet, mate, to write more info down. Sure, all the good thinking's done, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Take down that girly calendar and get some good stuff up there, and look at that, because you benefit a lot more from that.
We won't take that where we could end up. Ethan Fremantle asks,
what would be your top tips for a young person when training dogs, considering how advanced and complex training can get? What are your simple key focal points that you find most effective?
Okay, I missed the start of that. Repeat the start of that for me, please.
That's all right. What would be your top tips for a young person when training dogs, considering how advanced and complex training can get? What are your simple key focal points that you find most effective?
Okay, so basically I get a tattoo gun and I go around to everyone at the clinic and I tattoo a big FUN on their head. Okay, so make it fun. And we have lots of jokes. We kid around. I make a fool of myself. I fall over. You know, I don't care. I'm not worried about any of that or how silly I look, as long as I'm entertaining, as long as I've got you realizing that it doesn't matter how you look. The dog doesn't care how you look. It doesn't care about your ego. All it cares about is those sheep and enjoying itself with those sheep. So if you make it fun for yourself and you make it fun for the dog, then you'll grab a beer, you'll go out there and you'll just have some real good quality time with your dog and you'll progress really quickly. So great question. So who was that?
Ethan Fremantle.
Ethan, you're a good man, Ethan. Bag of dog food for you, mate.
you're going to have a hard time picking one of these guys, guys or girls, to get a bag of this dog food, mate.
Yeah, no, it is. They've all been fantastic. Thank you, people. This is what I wanted, was some real substance and things that people can learn from and take home.
I'm going to have a headache tonight after taking it all in.
She needs a bigger toilet door. Susanna Watt.
Sorry, buddy.
Susanna Watt asks,
for those people who don't have access to sheep / work all the time, the training time we get is precious. During our limited time, what is the most important area we should concentrate working on, or is it individual to each person or dog?
Bit of both. And great question, Susan. I call her SWAT. Great question. Probably instinct and connection and maintaining both is what I look for. So again, just going over the basics, getting that dog balancing nicely, going well on both sides, working on the mode of work, if you like it, or the manner the dog works in, and getting that right before you worry about the commands. So you can do that with a few ducks. you can get the connection quite easily by just making that dog your mate and taking it everywhere you go. So you don't need a lot of stock. It's interesting, when I was in the city and I did have my working dogs and I was landscaping and gardening, at one stage I lived down at Sandringham Beach, and I used to use the seagulls to cast my dogs and go seagulls. So where there's a will, there's a way. And yeah, just a few Indian runner ducks and away you go.
What did that cost you in chips?
Sorry, in
chips, trying to work seagulls.
Seagulls, no, they just love me. They're free.
Another question here from Chris Egan. If a dog is short or tight on one side when training, would you encourage it to go that way more or less in the training pen or on small training jobs?
Okay, awesome question, Chris. That might be the question. So it's a really good one, because a lot of people make issues out of things that aren't issues, that will clean themselves up as part of the process if you follow that process properly. So I don't worry too much about it. One thing with my training, which is very different to a lot of other trainings, we've seen each trainer that's come on, they've got their little pet hate, if you like. I hate people pushing dogs around. Okay, so I've got a saying: can't make, must make, want. So you've got to find a way of getting that dog wanting to go on its non-preferred side. And the best way to do that is to let it go on its preferred side, and then you just come in for the block and double back, and it doubles back with momentum, and it's going around on its non-preferred side without even knowing it. And then, yes, you'll do 2 of those or 3 of those to every one of its preferred side. But again, don't make it an issue. If you make it an issue, you're going to make other issues, whether it's tail turning or jumping out or shutting down. You're just going to cause problems for yourself. Just go with the flow. It'll work its way out. One of the methods I do with a dog that I'm having a bit of trouble getting it to double back onto its non-preferred side is I just go around the fence. I just do laps around the fence, getting the dog to balance to me on its non-preferred side. The fence is stopping it going around its preferred side, so it works on its non-preferred and becomes comfortable there.
Cool. You covered that one pretty well, mate. Another question here from one of our most enthusiastic and supporters of Dog Talk. Going to thank Belinda Halliwell. She's always sending a couple of questions in, and unfortunately we can't get to all of them all the time, but the next one here is from her.
What are your tips on getting what you would call a natural stop?
Okay, great. So that was covered in the video that I did before. I'm not sure if there was volume of me talking in that video. So basically, again, I'm just going to tie the dog out until he wants to stop. So I'm not making him stop. I'm not having an argument with him. I'm just going, you go your hardest, mate. And every time you come in, I'm gonna block you, and I'm going to take the sheep away from you. And when you stop, I'm going to take the pressure off you, and I'm going to let you work. So it's just a matter, go back to that pinballing video. We'll probably put it up on this side, and I might put it up on Facey. I'll talk to you about that, whether we do that. And we'll be talking about that more in the Feel article coming out in the magazine. Yep. So basically, just tie the dog out so it wants to stop.
Right, beautiful, mate. Don't forget, there's a deadline on that article too, mate. We need to get onto you for that.
You gave it to me today.
Yes,
oh, there you go. Communication at its finest.
I sent it to both of you today. Yep.
Got me. Jesus. Belinda's got another question while we're here. Any tips on the... Sorry, Laura, can you go?
Any tips on the right time to move from the round pen to a bigger paddock area and not get stuck for too long in the round pen?
Okay. Again,
I think this might be something where a lot of people actually do get stuck. They're just not sure whether it's confidence to move into a bigger area, or what's your take?
Yeah, no, it's good, and I find that with the girls that give me a hand with the dogs, that quite often I'm saying, get out there in the bigger area. We've got to step up now. So yeah, one of the things I do is an exercise called gate to gate or yard to yard. So I'm going from the round yard to the next yard next door to it, which is a square yard, and that means that I'm going from a round yard to a square one with corners, so that brings a new dynamic into the equation, if you like. But the whole point of that exercise is to teach the dog that his job is to put stock through gates. If you want to simplify what a working dog is born to do, just one job you got, dog, and that is to put stock through gates. If you think about it, you go out, you muster the paddock, you put them through a gate, you bring them into the holding yard, put them through a gate, put them up in the shed, you put them through gates, you put them down the chute, you put them through gates. So that's a really important thing to teach your dog, because one of the things that I'm looking at is letting the dog know what its job is, so that once it understands what its job is, there's no more argument. There's no more sit, come behind, do this, do that. It's, mate, we're doing this, and you don't have to micromanage anymore. So it's a great exercise for that. It also incorporates going around stock, bringing them to you, coming to you. The biggest thing with that too is when you go to the gate, you're calling the dog with you and you're taking it to stock. When you finish working, you're taking it away from stock. So this actually teaches the dog, you come to me and I'm going to take you to stock, mate. So they start coming to you real quickly. They learn to stop at the gate, but it also helps with the transition from the round yard to the real world, because then we're going to go from that square yard to the next square yard to the bigger area, and on we go. So we're just taking those slow steps. Same amount of sheep, 3 sheep, you may have noticed, and people might want to ask me why I use 3 sheep. And people who have been to the schools will know why. And we can go through that process of going round yard, square yard, slightly bigger yard, holding paddock with 3 sheep, and then we go back to the round yard, 6 sheep, go through the process, back to the round yard, 12 sheep, go through all the different areas until we can work them all. So yeah, a lot of people find that transition from the round yard to the real world really difficult. So this gate to gate exercise just takes care of that. Bang, done.
Another question here from Dave Rowlands. I've been given a 2-year-old pure Kelpie bitch who is not trained. She appears keen, however, is prone to cutting out and chasing one sheep. Any suggestions?
Yeah, big bit of poly. No, I'm only joking. So I've got, when you come to my schools, you'll see that I've got a lot of 3 rules. And one of my major ones is the 3 meter rule. Okay, so if you're within 3 meters of your stock, you can impose yourself on that dog and run at it if you need to, or intimidate it, or even dong it if you need to, or swing a lead, or throw a clod of dirt, or whatever you need to do to let that dog know that that's not acceptable behavior. So basically, 2 words for you: be there. Okay, be there with that dog. You'll see when it goes to cut the sheep out. Just put the rake in between it and the sheep it's about to cut out, and it will very soon start going around them. So one of the things we do when we start training and balancing up, I basically claim my personal space around me. And at first, you'll know that most people's personal space is about 1 metre wide. If you come into there, they start getting a little bit uncomfortable and backing off and saying, "Get out of my space." So basically, I slowly make that bigger with my body extension by just blocking the dog when it comes into that space. And so my space becomes bigger and bigger. And so now you can imagine my personal space is now 3 meters either side of me. So now it's 6 meters around me, where the dog has no choice but to go around those 3 sheep that are within 3 meters of me. So I'm slowly making that space bigger.
See how that works, mate. Do you want to
Yeah,
go
give
that
that
one?
time. If not, give me a call or a text or whatever, and we'll go through it and look at different ways. One of my favourite sayings is that there's many ways to skin a dog. So there's lots of different things you can do. There's not just one trick in my bag. There's hundreds. So if that doesn't work, we can try something else.
Won't even go with what I was going to say then. But Ben Dixon, just had that won't go there either. Just my lunch. Ben Dixon, what are your thoughts on the way a dog carries its tail?
Yeah, again, like the eyes being the window to the soul, the tail is the rudder to the brain, basically, or the way Neil McDonald describes it is what he's trying to do is get a bit of an antenna coming out of the dog's head, so it's more and more receptive. Basically, I see the tail coming up over the back of the head, and I know that something bad's going to happen. So look, some dogs do just have a high tail carriage, and it's just the way they balance and the way they work. And when a dog's covering and holding and bouncing back and forth, and I don't mind a bit of bounce like that at all in a dog, because I look for that short cover. It's very important to me that a dog can cover his stock and block in close. Then if their tail's swinging around, then that's fine. But if they're slowly walking in and that tail's coming up, you're in trouble. So yeah, no, I look for a nice low, almost looped tail, if you like, just totally relaxed. That shows that the mind is relaxed, and you know yourself, if someone's nervous, something bad's going to happen. So you want the cool. We all want a cool dog. The problem is with cool dogs is quite often they don't have any other gears and they can't step up. So I'm looking for a dog that can be cool and can fire up and get quite animated, if you like. But definitely looking for that low tail carriage if I can get it. But again, we judge dogs on so many different things. Is it a good dog? Does it do your job? And if so, who cares if its tail's like a helicopter going around behind it? It doesn't matter as long as it does the job.
Oh, cool. I know Laura and I look like a couple of squirrels on cocaine tonight all over the shop. As we're just trying to get some rhythm to these questions at the moment with the problems we had earlier. Questions are just all over the shop. So we apologise if we're spinning people out a bit, moving backwards and forwards. We're just trying to get some rhythm to the question so we can try and keep training with training and breeding with breeding and in some kind of rhythm here. So we've got one here from Ken Gilbert.
Kent Manners, the dogs have to leave the runs at heel as a pack when I say okay. One dog that has come into the team has changed the behaviour of the whole pack. Now they all run and chase crazy. Then they have to come back to the runs. They all have to be at heel. Doesn't seem to have an impact when working together. Your opinion?
Okay, I didn't get all of that. What is crutch of that question?
What was that? Sorry.
I didn't get all of that. The one dog running amok and being the cancer, or how the dogs behave away from stock. Does that dictate how they behave on stock? Which was the question?
Pack manager. It looks like one dog's disrupted her whole pack. They're all just running a bit crazy now.
Yep.
And how? What's your opinion on how to work with something like that?
Okay. Yeah. Great question. We had a fellow in the Western.
So it's not affecting their impact when they're working together, just around the camp.
Yeah, I reckon it is. I think it is probably affecting the work as well. You're probably just not noticing it. It does affect how the dogs behave on stock. I found that those dogs that are being hassled, their mind's not there, and the peanut that's causing all the trouble, it's still stirring trouble. You may not be noticing it, but it's still giving all those signals to the other dogs and stirring them up. So yeah, there was a contractor here in the Western Districts called George Pickles, and he would always say that dog's like a bloody cancer in the camp, and it is. It's a bad influence. Unless you really liked it, I would give it to someone who doesn't have a big camp of dogs and just has that one-on-one, and it'll probably be a good dog for them. Otherwise, I would have that dog on the lead 24/7, and that is my rule with a young pup. You do not get it until you can be trusted to be a good citizen in my pack. You just don't get off the lead. You don't get the chance. You don't get out of jail. You just come with me. You're on the ball and chain, and you've got to earn your right to be a part of this team.
Is there a main thing that you see handlers struggle with? And where do you think they could improve more, like in terms of like stock handling versus training ability, or where do you, with the people you see come through your schools, where do you think the most common thing to work on is?
Yep, great. So who'd that come from?
Yours truly.
Oh, beautiful. Dan gets another bag of dog food. Rightio.
It's going to save me some money.
I need
Yes.
that.
I'm actually nearly out of food, so if we're listening out there, no, I'm happy to pay for it.
No, I'm sure they'll look after you, buddy. So the question was?
Where do you think the people that come through your schools, training dogs versus stock handling ability, where do you think the main thing they can improve on?
Okay, so the first thing is ego. They take it too personally and they worry about that. So again, first thing I write up on the whiteboard is leave your ego at the gate and stop worrying about how you look. So I find that that's a huge thing. And as far as instinct and handling ability, I find a lot of people take the instinct out in the process of trying to get the obedience, and that comes back to them not reading their stock. So one of the exercises we do is we get to be the dog and see what it's like from the dog's point of view, and you will see how frustrating it is to have this goose who has no idea how to read stock trying to tell you what to do and where to be. And then so you learn to shut your mouth and just start listening to your dog, and then you start trusting each other and working with each other and reading the stock together, and then away you go. So yeah, that's probably the biggest hurdle that we have to overcome, but we get past that pretty quick in the clinics, and we get into the meat of the training techniques pretty quickly.
Pretty hard thing to do sometimes, just to shut your mouth, I suppose, and let the dog be a dog, and like you said before, just try and be in the right spot, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have some big hair chick there with a pair of scissors and a roll of gaffer tape.
Yeah, right, yeah. How'd they go for a headlock?
Yeah, no, it fixes them pretty good. And yes, I've got a pretty good headlock on me.
Happy days. Do you want to grab that one from Tim Mackey?
I've seen you hold a dog's head up until they look you in the eye. Are you trying to develop a good introduction with the dog, or are you trying to analyze their personality, or are you doing it finding that the result is they become more comfortable and confident with you as the handler?
All of the above. Great question. Another bag of dog food. So basically what you saw in that clip was that dog wasn't acknowledging me, and it was just looking through me at the stock, and I'm saying, no, I'm the boss, I'm here, and I want a bit of respect from you. It's very, very interesting, though, that dogs won't look at more intimidating people like myself, because eye contact is a sign of conflict with dogs. So they're actually looking away from you and saying, "No, I don't want to fight you, mate. I just rather look down at the dirt." So basically, I'm showing him by lifting my head up, "No, it's good. You can look at me. We're mates. I want you just to acknowledge me, please." So it's just a nice way of saying we're buddies.
Sorry, mate, we're just trying to get back on a bit of a rhythm here. But yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, you're talking there a lot, and obviously you speak to a lot of people, and you're talking about looking in the dog's eyes and reading them and conflict in the eyes. How good do you get at reading people in these schools, and before they realise what they're doing? bit of psychology back in the people world that you use on your dogs.
Yeah. No, that's every instructor's biggest role, is to psychoanalyze straight away and go, rightio, how much can you take? I sent Laura a clip of Jack Nicholson from what is it? The movie A Few Good
I
Men.
don't know what movie it is. I can't remember.
You can handle the truth.
Yeah, that one.
You can handle the truth. So yeah, no, look, you've got to assess them straight away and look, learn a lot from Neil. And he said, I just look at how people jump out of their utes, what ute they're driving, how they jump out of the utes, how they get their dog out, what they let their dog piss on, etc. Straight away, as I said, I'll look into someone's eyes and know what they're made of and what I need to pull out of them for them to get the best for their money. So it's really important to me. I'm not doing it to manipulate or to best them or make myself look good. I'm doing it to find out what I can give them.
While we're still on training, Karen Higgins has asked, when are you going to be in New South Wales next?
Great question, Karen. Not this year. I don't think it's not looking like this year. There was a trip planned to Western Australia that got canned because of COVID. I'll see if that goes ahead. I won't be getting up to New South and Queensland till late next year, unfortunately. Sorry, but yeah, you're always welcome down here in sunny Vic.
Sunny? Well, what time of the day is it sunny, mate?
It was today, mate. I didn't get bogged today, so it was a good day.
That was for 3 hours. What about the other 9 hours that the weather cut in for the 14 different seasons?
No, today was spring all day. It was beautiful.
Happy days.
Chris Egan has asked, when you find a standout dog you want to add to your stud, are you trying to replicate that dog when breeding or just amplifying the traits of the dog that interest you?
Okay, another great question. If you're trying to replicate the traits of a dog, you're a multiplier, not a breeder. Okay, we should always be at least striving for better. Every generation should be better than the last. So when I'm incorporating a dog into my breeding team, I'm trying to pull the best out of him and have him pull the best out of the bitch and combine the best of them both. And that is hit and miss, don't get me wrong, but definitely by choosing prepotent size light bets, you know he's going to put certain instincts or attributes and qualities into his stock. All you need to do is find the bitch that will complement them, and on we go. So every mating that I do is not a corrective mating, but a complementary mating where instincts are complementing each other. And most importantly, and this is something that a lot of breeders have never thought about it and don't realise, the way to get that genetic gain is to have faults cancel each other out. So if you've got a dog with too much bite, you can join it to a dog that doesn't have as much bite, or a dog that overbreaks, you can join it to a dog that's a little bit straight. You're going to end up with a better dog and have genetic gain. So yeah, definitely, Chris, I'm always looking for what that dog can add.
Cool. Talking about straights, when you start line breeding with those like traits that you mentioned with similar dogs, what do you find the offspring or progeny to? How do you find they develop?
Okay, so it's interesting. Line breeding is used to consolidate traits, but it also brings out sneaky traits that you didn't think were there and amplifies them. So you'll actually get some real surprises when you line breed that you didn't know were there. So basically, I find that line breeding, you'll lose a bit of hybrid vigor, you'll lose a little bit of size, you'll gain a little bit more intensity, which you've got to be careful of getting too much. But it all comes back down to, okay, let's breed from the best dogs we can find in the best way, and then try and pick the best progeny and see what, if we do get genetic gain, test them out in real work situations, and see if they are better than their parents, and if not, go backwards. And I've watched what other breeders are doing, and quite often they'll go down one road and you can see them almost backing up in their genetics and going, oops, I made a mistake there, I need to take the other fork in the road and go in another direction. So it's not always one step forward, sometimes it's two forward. And
we get a lot of opinions, and I suppose I've been hearing a lot lately about line breeding. Have you got a favourite way of going down the line breeding track? Like we hear a lot about, half siblings to outcrosses or grandfather over granddaughter. And I suppose I'm fortunate enough to be speaking to a lot of different people between the magazine and Dog Talk at the moment, and you hear a lot of opinions on it. I'm kind of experimenting a little bit myself at the moment. What's your particular favourite way of line breeding?
Uncle niece. Go back through history of the best dogs and their uncle niece.
Uncle
Simple
niece.
as that. Yeah, I do a lot of half brother, half sister, if they're good enough. But one thing we've got to look at with line breeding, you've got to have the dogs good enough to do it, because you're consolidating traits, and if you're consolidating bad traits, then you're just going backwards. So don't line breed for the sake of it. You're better out crossing if to two top quality dogs than line breeding to one quality dog and one not so good dog. So that's the hardest bit with line or inbreeding, is finding dogs good enough to use in a program and solid enough and without real issues back through their pedigree that you're going to actually bring out. So that's the hard bit. Yes, but short answer, uncle niece every time.
Yeah. That's interesting. We've got two similar questions here, one from Kane Gardner and the other one was from Josh Parker. Fairly similar. Who's your favourite dog that you've had in past or present? Basically, if you're going to go to a trial in the next hour, which dog would you grab?
Basil. Every time.
Why?
There's a saying.
You sure you don't want to think about that?
Nah.
You answered it so quickly.
Yeah, no, because he's been there for me every time. He gets better in the finals. He learns the course, and as I said, there's a saying that champions find a way. He just finds a way, and a lot of people go, oh shit, that dog doesn't have a lot to him, and then quite often I'll get judges when I walk off going, shit, that dog's got more to him than I thought he had, because then they're not watching what he's doing. He's talking to those sheep all the way around. He's breaking them in from the time from the time he enters the course. He is starting the process of breaking those stock in, and you'll talk to most trials and they go, breaking them in. I'm not worried about breaking them sheep in. I just want to get around.
Yeah.
I just want to keep in the bloody pen and not look like a cock. So
no one's seen me trial then. No one's going to look like a bigger cock than me getting around.
I can't wait, mate. It'll be good fun.
Everyone watching.
So yeah, look, that's what all the good dogs are doing. They're breaking their stock in from the word go. So yeah, and that's why I love Bone on Buster, and that's why I love Basil so much, because he's doing the little one pointers that most people don't see.
Do you have a favourite trial to participate in, or one you'd really like to get to?
I love Sheepvention because it's a very unique course, and it's local trial, and it's one that I have tried to make my own, and they haven't had it for the last couple of years, but one that I really doing. Kate Jubb pipped me last time, but had quite a few wins there over the years. And I don't get up there, but I used to love Henty. It was the showcase, and we should have we should have a Henty in every state where we've got grandstand and crowds and mic and really promoting the sport, and a real good, tough course where you've got to work in every obstacle. You know, there's no free obstacle at Henty. So yeah, that's what I like. Brings the we soon find out who the pretenders are and who the real dogs are.
Will you be over at the Australian in Tassie next year?
Oh, yeah, I'll try my best to get across. Obviously, COVID willing. I love the Tassie blokes, and I love Tassie, and I'm looking forward to getting down there and whooping some ass, definitely.
Yep. I'll have a crack at trying to stop you, but
yeah,
I'm sure many others will as well.
And that's what makes our sport so great, is that everyone's trying to knock you off and do better than you, and that makes them better. And that's why
And they're nice. And most of them are nice about it. You know, I love the camaraderie.
Oh, one or two are okay. Yeah. No,
I'm not going to ask you which ones. But while we're in Tassie, has any chance of you doing a dog school over there?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. It's one thing I'll be lining up with the boys there. I'll be asking them straight up if we can do a school or two in between the two trials or either side of.
What do you feel is your best achievement so far?
Well, for most people, it's having kids, and Shaz and I chose not to. So it's my dogs, and probably not one single achievement. You know, not the wins. It's probably how you win and who you can help along the way. So probably my greatest achievement is all the people that hopefully I've given a little bit of me to, and help them to be better.
Cool. Actually, got a question here from Belinda, which actually interests me as well. I noticed that you don't really use many whistle commands when you're training, and most of the voice. Is there a reason that you choose not to do that, or when you do your videos, do you just use your voice so people know what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, both. I'm very, very clear with my body language, and actually overemphasize it in the videos. A lot of people, one thing they notice straight away is how discreet my my blocks and my body language is, and even my verbal. One thing about I do whistle a little bit out on the job, because obviously you can't be yelling and screaming all day at distance. So the whistle's very handy at distance. But I also find, as I said before, tone is so important to dogs, and whistles are great because they're just a clear tone. That's what I mean. But you know, when I say quick to a dog, I might be saying quick, or I'll go quick, and the dog really feels that desperation in my voice. So I think the tones are really important. And one thing about yard work is I find it really hard to either have a whistle in my mouth or go from here, left, come. I find it hard to alternate, so you end up usually just reverting back to voice command.
Oh, so I can't see all of a sudden. My eyes gone blurry.
Away from dogs, do you have a hobby or talent that people probably wouldn't know about?
Be careful how you answer this one.
Yeah, no, I'm multi-talented. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, look. Obviously, the gardening and the horticulture was my thing before, and I still really enjoy being in the garden. But yeah, probably the footy. I love Aussie rules. I know some of you don't call it footy, and I love my pies. They're down the bottom of the ladder and rebuilding. Yeah, pretty passionate. Sharon can't understand why I yell and scream at that TV, but yeah, it's a good way of venting, and yeah, probably my main hobby. But yeah, I probably don't have enough now outside of the farm and what I do with the dogs.
Is it frustration you yell and screaming because they can't catch a ball, and they just keep hitting it, or?
No, it's them freaking umpires.
Always blame the ref, right? Got a question here from Danny Kerr. Everyone is talking about Facebook pages being lost and taken down. I know that's why Dog Talk has been started. Why do you think so many people are still posting on Facebook and not on the Dog Talk pages?
Yeah, great question. People take a while to adjust. And look, we all post a bit on Facebook so that we get a bit of the limelight. And I think the Dog Talk probably doesn't give people that little bit of 5 minutes of fame in their and having their opinions so much. So that's something that we definitely need to look at. But yeah, look, if you're one of them gooses who keep advertising your pups on the Facebook pages, stop it. So find another way, be a bit sneaky about it, promote them, whatever you need to do, but you're the cause of those pages closing down.
Well, there's no need to post on there these days, as Dog Talk does have its own working dog classifieds. Free to use, total easy, yeah.
Boom, boom.
That actually come up because admins of these these Facebook groups asked us to do something there because they were finding it hard to manage going through and getting to these posts. So, like Laura said, that's free to use. So, jump on there and don't be afraid to comment or add material to Dog Talk. Like it's put up there for you guys to use, and it's only going to be successful if you guys use it. So, put it up there, and any information can't be lost. So it's there for everyone.
Yep. Yeah. So great context there, and yes, we all need to try and get on there a bit more.
Who would you like to see us have an interview here, a Q&A with, mate, and sit down and have a chat with?
Yeah. So obviously, I've seen the interviews before, and I've thought about this question and the duck one too.
Not there yet, mate. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. So Tony McCulloch, I think someone might have mentioned him before. The knowledge that guy has and the way he articulates it is amazing. I sit in awe of him and would really love to learn more about the man and learn more of what he knows. And I'd like some of the old school yells that were, household names. Obviously, Chris, they've people have asked for before and suggested. Yep. But Michael Johnson, Matthew Johnson, Robert Cox, and probably the one that I'd really like to see if he's in good enough health is Jim Luce. He was amazing to watch, and I learned a lot from watching him. And people ask, who did you learn from? I learnt from observing these blokes because they were amazing. And Jim, was always one of those people that I've tried to emulate. He'd always come up to you and say, Joe, you just need to do the little bit of this or a little bit of that, or your dog's biting around the back, mate. You need to clean that up, or whatever. He would come and give you some really good, just little one-pointers, feedback that would really help.
Answered very well, mate. And some of those guys we already are talking to, obviously just trying to line up times that suit to get in with everyone. So watch your space. We are talking to most of those people that you did mention, and some of them I've just tried to wait till I can get in front of them in person as well, convince them a little bit harder. So
night where you have to pick the one person for the bag of Enduro class.
Dan's the man.
No, we can't do that. we can't do that.
We had Mark. I actually like Mark Wheeler's question the most. Right at the start, that was fantastic. Nathan, Ethan, Belinda, Susan, Chris. Dave, Ben, Ken, geez, the list goes on. Josh, Danny, some amazing questions. Thank you, people. And it's why I came on, and what I wanted was some real substance to the questions. So they're all fantastic, and I'd give you all a bag of dog food if could be. But I actually like Mark's question the most.
So Mark Wheeler, if you want to get in contact with us, mate, just message the Dog Talk page via Facebook there with obviously we've got your name, number, address, and some whatever other email address, and we'll get that bag of Enduro onto you. Mate, one question we didn't ask before we move on to the question that you're chewing to get to was, if there's a message that you want to get out into the livestock dog world, what is it?
We're all on the same side. So start helping each other, start ring or message Laura and Dan, your yard trial associations, your local working dog clubs, and say, what can I do to help?
I think that's pretty amazing answer. Thank you.
She's really going to have to get a bigger door in this toilet to get all these notes down.
So it's the question of the night. Would you rather fight one duck the size of a horse or 20 horses the size of ducks?
And why?
Right. What do you reckon my would be?
Oh, you want to go large. You're going to take the duck with the 20 on for sure.
20 ducks the size of horses.
Okay. Why?
Why? Because I like a challenge.
Very cool. Before we wrap up, we do know it was a bit hard early on, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I've been chipped for guys and girls before. We know it was a bit hard early on there. Thanks to everyone that stayed on. And we've gone a little bit later to try and get to as many as we could. Once again, sorry to those people that we couldn't get to all the questions. We did try to get to as many as we could. And please remember, we learn every day, and the day we stop learning will be a sad one for everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, everyone. Much